Hey, Renee.
Hi, Annette.
Today we're going to do the subject of grooming and sexual abuse. It's been used in the media quite a bit, and I want to make sure that people understand the term as best that they can. So when they hear it, they'll go, oh, I know what that is. As well as to protect their children and themselves in life right now.
Amen. Keep going.
Keep going. All right. Well, in the beginning, the person who is going to be doing the grooming is looking for a victim, a targeted victim that they can manipulate, that they can take advantage of, whatever it looks like for them, or somebody that fits the mold of who they want to go ahead and take advantage of, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then the next stage would be them creating a bond with them, a friendship, some sort of relationship going on. And it could be as simple, and people don't understand, as an uncle having a relationship with one of his nieces or nephews. It could be as simple as the pastor at a church just having a friendly relationship with one of your children in the church, that type of thing. I'm not trying to put fear out there, but I'm trying to help people to understand that it usually starts with some sort of bond of friendship, so that trust begins in there. The same as if we had neighbors and one of the people next door, they're a police officer. So when they come over, our kids are naturally trusting them because they've been taught to trust the police. So it would be really easy for a bond to start there of trust and respect, because my parents say to trust those who are police officers, go to them when you need help, that type of thing. So that creating a bond or friendship is going to be involved in the relationship. Feeling a need. So I remember working with someone and they were talking about how they were young, like 8 years of age, and the other person was like 16 years of age. Well, when this 16-year-old male was constantly telling the 8-year-old girl, boy, she was good at something, and boy, she was pretty, and boy, she's going to have a lot of boyfriends when she gets older, and just on and on. It was making her feel special. It was feeling a need inside of her to hear from someone that she was pretty and all these different things. And it was just little step by little step. And the friendship started. And then all of a sudden, because that special friendship, because she didn't know of any of her other little girlfriends that were 8 years of age who had a 16-year-old guy who would take the time to come over and play checkers with her, or take the time and go ahead and play with her in the backyard. And the parents saw them all the time in the backyard playing, that type of thing. And then it became more of the next stage, beyond feeling the need of getting access to the little girl and taking her to the movies, taking her to go get ice cream. Look at all these things this young child would want in their life. Special attention, valued, you name it, going places. Wow. Who doesn't want to feel special, right?
Right.
But getting that access, that separation, and going places or going off into her bedroom to play, because he had built trust with the parents and he had built trust with her and such. And she always looked forward to him coming over, and the parents always liked that she was playing and she was, you know, this and that going on. But then starts the next stage of little secrets. So making it a secret about this and that, and it could be the tiniest little secret, or with her, it was more of they went to the movies, but they didn't see the movie they were going to see. They saw something that was a different movie that her parents would normally not let her see, but it was just their secret. So she got to do some adventure-ish kind of a thing, and it was just their secret, and he still wasn't sexually abusing her or anything. And then the next little secret was, I know you weren't supposed to have anything to eat because you're going to go home and eat dinner and everything, but if you promise that you'll eat your dinner tonight, I'll go ahead and get you this popsicle now or this ice cream now. And here's these little secrets that are just adding up in her mind, and she's not seeing them as harmful at all, but she's constantly being manipulated in this relationship that's going on. And the parents are believing that everything is fine because she's not saying anything, to the point when they are upstairs in the bedroom and such, he's starting to touch her in places that are not appropriate. And then the abuse starts happening in these small, minute moments. So it could just be he touches her on her knee and she doesn't respond or whatever it is. And the next time it's another spot and it just grows. All different cases can happen in many different ways. But the biggest thing is it starts so small, so minute that people aren't able to see it. The child isn't able to see that they're being manipulated. The parents aren't seeing that they're also being tricked by this relationship, because they're hearing from this teenager that he really appreciates, because he's an only child, in this case it was, that he could have a sibling, that he could actually play board games type thing. All this little stuff. Then in the end is maintaining the control. And that usually has something to do with, if you tell anybody, this is what's going to happen. And they'll give a worst case scenario of ugly that she would not want to happen. And that's how this whole thing, this poor child was groomed. And if you could use your imagination, it could happen in many different scenarios, but I was just giving you a small sample of one.
I've heard many that sound very similar to that. Sometimes the grooming will be just that, let's hang out. And then it goes to, can you put lotion on my back? I can't reach it. You know, certain things like that. Those touches that you don't think are inappropriate at first, but then become bigger. And in other places. Yeah, not a good situation.
Not a good situation. It just takes watching your children more carefully, not allowing these separate relationships. I know this interferes a lot with those who have children that are involved in like mentoring clubs, like Boys and Girls Club and items like that, because those are so supportive to help kids that need that other adult in their life as a mentor. But there's safe ways to go ahead and have that flow out, if that makes sense, and to be able to have those safe relationships. So I'm not saying no to Boys and Girls Club. I'm just saying, be careful. There's no reason for an adult to be with a child alone. In those cases, there's always a way to work around, whether they're meeting at the library and they're there together type thing. Public area is huge, but we've done ideas like that in the past. I just wanted to make sure the grooming part was discussed. Now I kind of want to flow into an adult situation. Those who have made it through the sexual abuse as a child sometimes can flow right back into it as an adult without ever seeing it starting to happen again. As well as those who are adults who've never been sexually abused can fall into this grooming situation as well.
Before you go into that adult thing, can you recap just the simple definition of grooming? So people get that baseline, this is what it is.
Grooming is so that someone can go ahead and target a victim and groom them in a relationship so they could take advantage of them for their own good, is the way I would go ahead and describe it. It could be sexually, it could be in a manipulative way that is not even for sexual abuse, but it's for physical abuse. Maybe they have anger issues or control issues, but they'll manipulate in order to be able to gain for themselves, not in a mutual relationship.
Thank you for clarifying that. Back to the adult.
I'm sure Google or the dictionary can explain it a lot easier than I can at this point. But off the top of my head, that's the best way I would explain it.
Well, no, I asked because when you did your Thriver Survivor leaders training, and we had given out the manual at the beginning of class before you went live with the training, you had asked everybody to turn to a certain page and look at the terms and know that that was one of the terms that were in there, as well as many others. And many folks in that room had ahas. They didn't realize that so many different terms in the sexual abuse world meant XYZ. So the clarification of it helps people find out that they've had something happen to themselves. That also helps them realize what's going on in their environment a little bit better as well. It's educating, educating some,
It's educating, yes.
educating and helping set them up for success versus worst case scenario. So continue. You were going on to the next piece about the adult. Could even be
Well, same with the adult. They're looking for a victim, somebody they can manipulate. They go ahead and create that bond, that friendship. They start feeling the needs, whether it's gifts, whether it's constantly complimenting them. It just continues to go that direction, and then getting access to them separate from their family members, separate from their other friends type thing. This is not for a dating situation. This is so they can go ahead and groom them to abuse them. This is completely different than dating somebody to go ahead and marry them, that type of thing. Then creating secrets in the relationship. So this is all very similar as what I was already talking about before, but it's going to look a little different in the adult manner because finances sometimes come into control with this, as let's get a joint bank account. Because are you less likely to pull out of a relationship if you have a joint bank account and your check from work gets going in there all the time, that type of thing? It controls you to stay in a bad relationship longer. What if you go ahead and buy a car together or buy a house together? Even a stereo system together, something that's smaller like that, but now all of a sudden you're bound in a financial agreement with this person.
I've seen that so often with the adults. And we're not just talking the sexual abuse part either.
No.
Woo. Yeah.
And I would say they're red flags. If someone's asking you to get in some sort of financial with you that way wise, or they only want to see you alone, isolated, that type of situation. These are red flags that should be flaring up and be warning signs for you to take a step back and go, is this relationship something I should be having right now?
Is it healthy? Is it
right.
powerful?
And if they try to keep coercing you, that type of thing, no, it's another red flag. Step back, because the abuse is ready to follow. Adults also deal with this at the workplace. And people are surprised by that, but it's definitely happens in the workplace quite a bit. And at the workplace, you make friends, comrades in arms, and then you work on different projects together. Sometimes you work alone with another coworker, whatever it is, but watch for those common signs. They're going to look at the gauges as in, okay, does she always have to be with her husband after work? Is she always hanging with her family? How much her family means to her? They're looking for people who are more disconnected. They're looking for people who are new in town. They're looking for people who don't have a lot of connections, that type of thing. But it doesn't mean that a person that has a lot of friends and who's not new in town is not a victim to this. Because just like a child, they will slowly go ahead and manipulate to the point of, let's just be you and I that goes to lunch today. We don't need everybody else to go. I want to talk to you about this, but it continuously keeps going that route where it's only you and that other person going to lunch. And then those brushes of contact physically will be happening in between, whether it's, oh, I'm putting on my coat and I put on my sleeve down, my coat, and it, goes by your back or goes, wherever it is, and it accidentally touched, oh, I'm sorry, whatever. But it continually happens. It's not just a one-time thing. And these touches, these brushes of the body, they're not normal with a regular friendship, if that makes sense. That's a type situation. This is not a, regular friendship isn't a grooming situation. And again, it's not always about sexual abuse, but that was our main focus for that today and talking about the grooming that happens. And yes, it could happen so many places, and it could also happen online with people who are meeting up online. It takes a lot more work. But I remember the old days with AOL. I know I aged myself there. But there was chat rooms, and you can go in these chat rooms and talk to people who are like-minded, whether they were homeschool moms or they were IT guys, whatever it was, and you go into these chat rooms, but you could start having conversations. Then you went to the chat room the next day. Hey, that person's there again. And then eventually they end up meeting in a separate private chat room with nobody else in it. And these conversations can happen. And again, grooming can happen because they're answering questions, and a lot of people don't think that it's any big deal to answer personal questions online.
Yeah, where you live, what do you do? And it's happening to younger and younger. I know adults who have been taken advantage of online, groomed all the way to sending the flowers, sending the jewelry, let's go out to dinner. It's pretty unfortunate, the things that are even being done.
It really is. And that's why I just wanted to make sure to bring it up, not just for parents and their children, but for everybody to understand the process that a predator goes on. And they may not be aware of it, but because there's been so many studies, and because I've worked with so many different people, and you have as well, you could see that process as they're telling the story. Well, how did you meet them? And they're telling the story, and it sounds exactly like they were found, they were manipulated, they thought they had this great special friendship, and it went to places it shouldn't have, and then they felt trapped and under somebody's control.
And a lot of times the person that is just now realizing the truth of the situation, the one who's being manipulated, the one who is being abused, they don't even realize it's abuse. They'll feel all the ugly feelings. They might have little hints here every once in a while, and then it gets so big, then they might have these, I don't feel comfortable feelings, but they don't know what to do with it. They don't know where to go with it. And yeah, like you said, they feel trapped. I guess so. The thing that I wanted to throw out there is that first flag. Listen to it. Listen to your gut when you get a flag. If you're the parent of that kid, or if you are the adult that's being hit on in that way, you're being touched, or you're being brushed, or you're I've even had comments at work, wow, my wife isn't like you. I wish I married somebody like you. Things like that. You could get certain things, and those are flags of, you need to get out. Don't let this go further. Follow the flags, follow what the spirit is prodding you. It's their warnings.
I know in my case, the only thing I could line up with that is, I believe my parents were groomed with the pastor that attacked me when I was 16. They trusted, he was a pastor, so there's that figure of authority. And so they think that's a person that is completely trustworthy, but they didn't know him that long. And I would say months type thing. And my parents dropped me off so I could be counseled that day in his office. And then he sent his secretary home. And then that's when I was, tortured in his office and sexually abused. I didn't trust him, but my parents did. And they were manipulated, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just to be cautious as parents, even grandparents, with those that you feel like you trust. Again, you can't control others' sin that they're going to do and their sin nature, but at the same time, it just isn't wise. Just because somebody holds if they're a nanny doesn't mean that they're safe to be with children. You'd have to do a background check. You'd have to, talk to other parents that this person has watched their child, that type of thing.
That makes sense. Yeah. Wisdom. Checking out character, Fruit's character.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well,
it's good that we covered it, and hopefully it clarified some things. And it's unfortunate that so many of every age group that this occurs to.
And male and female, definitely.
Yep.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.